With another pause before Golden State returns to the court, the conversation around this team has grown louder, more emotional, and in some cases more extreme. A lot of fans are venting frustration, and the most common demand echoes everywhere you look: a call for change on the sideline. That reaction is understandable when expectations collide with uneven performances, but it also ignores how this organization actually operates and what the realistic options truly are in the middle of a season that still has room to breathe. Steve Kerr is the face of the coaching staff, so naturally he absorbs most of the criticism. He designs the systems, manages rotations, and takes responsibility when things do not click. What often gets lost is that he does not work in isolation. Roster construction is a shared process, and final decisions do not rest solely with him. The front office holds that authority, and right now, there is complete alignment between ownership, management, and the head coach. That matters because it means there is no internal momentum toward a sudden reset. Like it or not, Kerr's seat is not warm, and barring something catastrophic, he is positioned to remain through the current competitive window. The bigger question many fans avoid asking is simple but uncomfortable. If you remove him now, who realistically steps in and elevates this group into a championship contender immediately? Mid-season, coaching changes rarely produce instant miracles, especially for teams built around veteran stars with defined roles and habits. The idea that a new voice alone would suddenly unlock a title run sounds good emotionally, but history shows otherwise. Coaching a roster led by Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler requires trust, credibility, and deep understanding of how stars respond under pressure. Kerr has earned that trust over years, and replacing him with someone unproven at this level would introduce chaos, not clarity. This is why the organization continues to emphasize continuity. The core is intact, and the plan revolves around maximizing what remains of this window rather than tearing it apart out of impatience. That does not mean standing still. It means adjusting within the margins, identifying weaknesses honestly, and targeting fixes that complement the stars rather than disrupt them. When this group is healthy and synchronized, it has already shown flashes of how dangerous it can be, especially after last season's roster adjustments sparked a stretch of dominant basketball that reminded everyone of the ceiling still in place. Calls to completely dismantle the roster miss another key reality. Ownership has never embraced the idea of conceding seasons. This is not a franchise wired to accept losing as a step in a long rebuild while proven stars are still productive. The philosophy has always been to push forward, to reinforce, and to find creative ways to stay competitive. That mindset explains why the team continues to explore upgrades instead of waving a white flag. From the front office perspective, there is still a path, even if it is narrow and demanding. One of the more interesting developments recently was a direct glimpse into how closely ownership is tracking these issues. A message from a frustrated supporter reached the top, and the response that followed was revealing. It acknowledged the frustration, admitted the complexity of balancing style of play, coaching preferences, and league evolution, and made one thing clear: the stars are not the problem. That single exchange says a lot. It shows awareness of changing trends across the league and a recognition that the game itself is shifting in ways that demand adaptation. Those trends matter. The modern league is increasingly punishing teams that cannot control the glass or generate second chances. Offensive, rebounding, interior presence, and physicality have become vital again, especially in playoff environments where possessions are precious. Golden State's structure has often leaned smaller, prioritizing movement and spacing, but that approach can be stressed when there is no reliable anchor inside. Addressing that imbalance is not about abandoning identity, but about reinforcing it with complementary tools. This is where speculation naturally turns toward potential frontcourt solutions. A true center who can finish, defend, and create extra possessions would immediately change the texture of this team. The ripple effect would be felt across rotations, allowing perimeter defenders to gamble less and scorers to conserve energy. It would also ease the burden on stars who are being asked to compensate for structural gaps night after night. These are not flashy moves, but they're often the ones that quietly swing playoff series. At the same time, any potential deal must respect chemistry and hierarchy. Veterans need clarity in roles, especially in the backcourt where minutes and touches are precious. A second unit led with composure, capable of maintaining pace without forcing the stars to overextend, has been a recurring need. When that balance is achieved, the offense flows differently, and the defensive intensity becomes sustainable over longer stretches. What makes this period tense is the awareness that time is not infinite. Everyone understands that the current core will not last forever. Contracts expire, bodies age, and priorities eventually shift. When that moment arrives, the organization is positioned to pivot aggressively, armed with flexibility and assets to reshape the future properly. There's a blueprint for that kind of reset, one that other franchises have executed successfully by leveraging financial space and patience rather than rushing into desperation moves. For now, though, the message from the top is consistency paired with calculated adjustment. There is no appetite for panic, no sign of abandoning the head coach, and no indication that the stars are being shopped. The path forward is about squeezing every ounce of competitiveness from what remains, trusting that smart tweaks can still push this group into meaningful contention while the window is open, and accepting that the outcome, whatever it may be, will be faced together rather than avoided through half measures. That approach explains why the front office continues to explore opportunities instead of retreating. Even when results fluctuate, there is a belief that this roster, when properly balanced, can still compete with anyone on a given night. The Western Conference is unforgiving, but is also fluid, and momentum can shift quickly with the right adjustments. The challenge is finding moves that raise the floor without compromising the ceiling, especially when the margin for error grows thinner as the season progresses. One of the realities that cannot be ignored is how heavily the stars are being asked to carry the load. Stephen Curry's offensive gravity remains unmatched, but relying on constant brilliance is not a sustainable plan over a long season. Jimmy Butler brings toughness, intelligence, and late-game composure, yet his impact is maximized when he is not forced into mismatched roles that pull him away from his strengths. Draymond Green continues to be the emotional and defensive engine, but even his versatility has limits when structural gaps persist. The goal is not to ask more from them, but to support them better. That is why internal discussions keep circling back to roster balance. The league has evolved into a space where size, rebounding, and physical presence have reasserted themselves as decisive factors. Teams that can generate extra possessions through offensive boards or protect the rim without constant help gain a subtle but powerful edge. Golden State's system thrives on movement and spacing, yet it becomes far more dangerous when paired with a reliable interior presence that demands attention. This is not about changing identity, but about protecting it. Any potential move also has to consider the ripple effect across the bench. A steady second unit is not just about scoring. It is about maintaining structure. When the starters sit, the game cannot spiral into chaos or stagnation. A veteran organizer who understands pace and decision-making can stabilize those minutes, allowing the coaching staff to manage workloads more intelligently. When those stretches are controlled, the stars return fresher, and the closing lineups regain their bite. There's also a longer view quietly shaping these decisions. The organization knows exactly when contracts come off the books and what kind of flexibility that creates. That awareness influences how aggressive or patient they choose to be now. Short-term upgrades are weighed against future leverage, and every move is evaluated through both lenses. This is why the team resists emotional reactions, even when the noise outside grows louder. The plan is layered, not impulsive. Fans often underestimate how rare it is to have ownership that remains fully engaged and invested in winning at this stage of cycle. There's a clear refusal to accept mediocrity as a placeholder. Instead, the mindset is to keep pushing, even if that means navigating uncomfortable territory where expectations and reality collide. That pressure is part of competing at the highest level, and it is something this franchise has embraced for years. As the season unfolds, the tension will remain. Every loss will amplify calls for drastic change, and every win will briefly quiet them. That is the rhythm of a team operating in a narrow window, where patience feels risky and impatience feels tempting. The truth sits somewhere in between. Real contention is rarely linear, and progress often looks messy before it becomes convincing. What matters most is that the direction is clear. The coaching staff is trusted, the core is valued, and adjustments are being explored with intent rather than panic. If a meaningful addition becomes available, one that aligns with both current needs and future plans, the organization will not hesitate. Until then, the focus stays on refining execution, improving consistency, and surviving the grind of the schedule without losing sight of the bigger picture. This period is not about chasing perfection. It is about resilience, adaptability, and belief that the pieces, when aligned correctly, still have something left to say. The margin may be slim, but it exists, and as long as it does, this team will continue to press forward, fully aware of the risks, fully committed to the fight, and fully prepared to face whatever comes next with the same core that has carried them this far. Another critical aspect to consider is the mental resilience of the team. Golden State Stars have faced adversity before, and their ability to stay composed under pressure is a huge asset. Games will not always go their way, and stretches of inconsistency are inevitable. But the confidence in this core group allows the organization to weather those storms without drastic upheaval. When a team has veterans who can carry momentum and stabilize younger players, it creates a buffer that few other teams enjoy, especially in the high-stakes environment of the Western Conference. That stability is one of the key reasons why maintaining continuity is valued over making abrupt changes. The development of younger talent is another puzzle piece that cannot be ignored. Players like Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga represent potential, but they need structure, minutes, and guidance to reach the level necessary to contribute meaningfully in a championship context. The coaching staff's experience in balancing star power with developing talent is invaluable. Integrating young players without disrupting chemistry requires patience, clear role definition, and incremental growth opportunities. When done correctly, it allows the team to maintain competitiveness while also preparing for eventual transitions within roster. Finally, the broader picture of strategic flexibility underlines everything the organization is doing. Trades, acquisitions, and adjustments are evaluated not only on immediate impact, but also on long-term positioning. The balance between present competitiveness and future options is delicate, but it is where the front office shines. Assets, cap space, and draft positioning are all part of a system designed to optimize the franchise's trajectory, whether that means a deep playoff run this season or setting the stage for a calculated rebuild later. The commitment to measured, informed decisions ensures that when the time comes to make bold moves, they are done from a position of strength rather than reaction. Trust in the process, combined with the willingness to make calculated adjustments, will ultimately define how far this team can go. While uncertainty will always be part of the conversation, the foundation of talent, experience, and leadership provides a roadmap for success, and it is one that demands patience, attention to detail, and unwavering commitment from everyone involved. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers are growing louder in the basketball world as rumors circulate that Wardell Stephen Curry II, the iconic point guard for the Golden State Warriors, might be on the verge of leaving the franchise that has defined his legendary career. Known universally as one of the greatest shooters the sport has ever seen, Curry has not only transformed the Warriors into perennial championship contenders, but also revolutionized the game itself with his unparalleled long-range precision. Sources close to the team suggest that behind closed doors, discussions have been taking place regarding the possibility of Curry exploring new opportunities, sending shockwaves through fans and analysts alike. The speculation stems from a mixture of contract considerations, potential for new challenges, and a natural evolution of a player who has already achieved almost everything imaginable in the NBA. Curry's influence goes beyond mere statistics. His presence on the court stretches defenses, creates opportunities for teammates, and inspires an entire generation of players to develop their shooting prowess. The mere suggestion of him leaving Golden State ignites debate. Where could a player of his caliber go next? Some insiders hint at the allure of joining forces with other superstars in pursuit of another championship, while others wonder if a strategic shift within the Warriors organization could be influencing his decision-making process. Fans are left in suspense, dissecting every social media post, interview, and subtle hint, desperate for confirmation or denial. Analysts speculate that such a move would ripple across the league, altering team dynamics, trade strategies, and even the landscape of the NBA as a whole. Teams with championship aspirations are rumored to be preparing offers that could tempt Curry to step into uncharted territory, testing both his adaptability and his relentless competitive spirit. Meanwhile, the Warriors' front office is reportedly weighing every possible scenario, balancing loyalty to a franchise icon with a long-term strategy of maintaining a championship-caliber roster. While nothing has been confirmed, the mere possibility of Curry departing Golden State has ignited a feverish level of speculation. It raises questions about legacy, ambition, and the enduring impact of a player who has redefined what it means to be a shooter in the modern NBA. Regardless of how the situation unfolds, the basketball world is watching intently, knowing that any move by Wardell Stephen Curry II will not only make headlines, but could also reshape the league for years to come. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.